It might sound surprising, but something as small and familiar as a nut, yes, the kind we often keep in a kitchen jar or enjoy as a healthy snack, could be quietly affecting our health in ways we don't expect. Recent research published in a leading cardiology journal found that regularly eating the wrong kind of nuts could raise your risk of heart disease by up to 48%. That's not just a number, it's a wake-up call, especially for those of us over 65 when the body starts reacting differently to what we put into it. Now, here's the twist that makes this worth talking about. While some nuts are nature's little health protectors full of heart-healthy fats, brain-loving nutrients, and gentle fiber, others, quite shockingly, can do the opposite. They may increase inflammation, strain your digestion, or even interfere with medications many people our age take daily. And yet, they look the same, sit on the same shelf. Some even come recommended on healthy eating lists. That's what makes this topic so important and so easy to misunderstand. So today, we're going to take a gentle walk through something that matters. Which nuts are truly helpful to aging bodies, and which ones might quietly be doing more harm than good. And there's one nut in particular perhaps sitting in your pantry right now that has a hidden risk very few people talk about. We'll get to that. Let's begin. Part 1. The 4 best nuts for seniors. 1. Almonds, the bone protector. As we get older, many of us begin to notice little changes in our bodies. Maybe we don't stand up quite as fast. Maybe we hesitate a little before stepping off a curb. These moments are often subtle reminders. Our bones, those silent supports we so often take for granted, are changing too. Now, there's something beautifully simple we can add to our routine to help, and it comes in the form of a small, humble nut. The almond. You've probably seen almonds tossed into salads, sprinkled on yogurt, or tucked inside a trail mix bag. But here's something many folks don't realize. Almonds carry one of the most powerful combinations of nutrients for maintaining strong, steady bones as we age. They're naturally rich in calcium, which helps build bone density. But just as important and often overlooked is the magnesium in almonds. Magnesium acts like a traffic director, guiding calcium away from the arteries and into the bones where it belongs. Without that teamwork, calcium can sometimes end up where we don't want it, causing stiffness or even raising blood pressure over time. But that's not all. Almonds are also a quiet ally in another common issue. Many people over 60 face constipation, with nearly 4 grams of fiber in a small handful. Almonds gently support digestion and help keep things moving naturally. Now, let me tell you about Elaine, a 72-year-old retired school librarian from Oregon. She once told me I started adding 10 almonds to my breakfast plate. Nothing fancy, just raw ones with my coffee. Within 2 weeks, I felt lighter. My joints weren't as stiff, and I hadn't needed that pink bottle in the bathroom since. Of course, almonds aren't a miracle pill. But when something so simple can offer relief, support your bones, and even help protect brain cells through vitamin E and antioxidants, it's worth a second look. Just remember, for anyone with dental issues or difficulty swallowing, opt for thinly sliced or ground almonds, or try almond butter without added sugar. We want nourishment, not a trip to the dentist. Sometimes nature gives us tiny gifts that fit right into the palm of our hand. Almonds are one of them. 2. Walnuts, the brain booster. There's a quiet beauty to the way our minds carry the memories of a life well lived, the names of old friends, the smell of a grandchild's hair, the feeling of sunlight on a favorite porch chair. But with age, many of us start to worry. Will we remember the little things tomorrow as clearly as we do today? It turns out that nature may offer us a bit of gentle protection, in the shape of something that looks oddly familiar. Walnuts. If you've ever looked closely at a walnut, you might have noticed it resembles a tiny human brain. It's almost poetic because inside that wrinkled shell is a rich store of nutrients known to support memory, clarity, and mental agility. Walnuts are the richest source of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, which are like fuel for brain cells. They help maintain the flexible walls of our neurons, supporting the tiny sparks that let us think, speak, and remember. There's also melatonin in walnuts, a natural compound that gently encourages restful sleep. And for many people over 65, sleep doesn't come as easily as it once did. A small handful of walnuts in the evening, perhaps blended into a warm banana smoothie or just sprinkled over oatmeal, can be a soothing addition to the bedtime routine. Let me share a story. Frank, a 68-year-old retired contractor from Ohio, started keeping a small jar of walnuts on his kitchen counter after reading about their brain benefits. At first, I just liked the crunch, he chuckled. But after a few weeks, I noticed I was sharper during my morning crossword. I didn't feel so foggy, and I was sleeping better too. Science supports Frank's experience. Walnuts contain polyphenols that help reduce inflammation in the brain, something linked to slower cognitive decline and reduced risk of conditions like Alzheimer's. But they're not just for the brain. Walnuts also contain arginine, an amino acid that helps keep arteries relaxed and blood flowing, crucial for heart and brain health alike. So go ahead, crack a few open, enjoy them slowly. In every little piece, you're feeding not just your body, but your mind, your memories, and the parts of you that matter most. 3. Pistachios, the blood pressure stabilizer. There's something almost meditative about shelling a pistachio. The soft crack of the shell, the delicate green inside, the little moment of pause before you eat it. In a world that moves fast, especially for those of us raised in a slower time, that pause can feel like a kind of peace. But pistachios aren't just a mindful snack. They're one of the smartest choices we can make for our health, especially when it comes to a concern that affects nearly 2 out of 3 seniors: high blood pressure. Unlike many processed snacks, pistachios are naturally low in sodium and high in potassium, and that balance matters more than you might think. Potassium helps the body ease tension in blood vessels, like gently loosening a tightly tied knot. That means less strain on the heart, fewer headaches, and better long-term circulation. What makes pistachios even more special is what they do for our eyes. They contain 2 powerful nutrients, lutein and zeaxanthin, which concentrate in the retina, especially in an area called the macula. These help protect our vision from age-related decline and damage from sunlight. For many of us, keeping our independence often depends on keeping our sight, and pistachios offer quiet help in that area. Let me tell you about Marjorie, a 70-year-old artist from Arizona. She'd always loved pistachios but used to feel guilty snacking between meals. Her doctor once told her, "It's not the snack, it's the habit." So she started eating just a small bowl of pistachios each afternoon, using the shells to keep track. "It became a ritual," she said. "I focused more, ate less, and felt good doing it." That's the beauty of shelling. It naturally slows us down. You're not mindlessly reaching into a bag, you're gently cracking open each one. This creates space for mindful eating, which not only improves digestion, but can also help regulate appetite and blood sugar. If you choose pistachios, go for unsalted or lightly salted ones. Around 40 to 50 nuts, which sounds like a lot but isn't. Once shelled, make a perfect daily portion. Small, vibrant, and quietly powerful pistachios remind us that health doesn't always have to come in a bottle. Sometimes it comes in a shell. 4. Brazil nuts, the thyroid regulator. Among all the foods we talk about for better health, there are a few that feel almost too small to matter. One single nut. Can that really do much? Well, sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest strength. That's exactly the case with Brazil nuts, a rich, creamy nut that doesn't just taste luxurious, but quietly supports one of the most overlooked parts of our aging bodies, the thyroid. The thyroid is a little butterfly-shaped gland in your neck, and yet it plays a powerful role in how we feel every day, from our energy and mood to our weight and memory. As we grow older, thyroid function can become less efficient, and many of its symptoms like fatigue, fogginess, or feeling cold are often mistaken for just aging. But here's the wonderful thing. Brazil nuts are the richest natural source of selenium, a mineral that acts like a key to activate thyroid hormones. Just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts a day is often enough to meet your body's entire selenium needs. And there's more. Brazil nuts also help protect the myelin sheath, the thin layer that insulates our nerves and helps signals travel clearly between the brain and the body. It's a quiet helper in keeping reflexes sharp and movements fluid, especially important for those of us who want to stay active and independent as we age. Now, I remember speaking with Robert, a 74-year-old former piano teacher from Michigan. He had always been sensitive to cold, often sluggish. After a simple blood test revealed a sluggish thyroid, his doctor recommended adding Brazil nuts to his diet. I didn't expect much, Robert admitted. But after a few weeks of having just one each morning with my coffee, I felt clearer. Warmer, more awake. But with Brazil nuts, more is not better. Too much selenium can actually be harmful, so it's best to stick with just 1 or 2 a day. Think of them as a daily supplement from nature, not a snack to munch by the handful. And keep them fresh. Brazil nuts are high in oils and best stored in the fridge to maintain their gentle strength. While these nuts offer healing power for our bones, our minds, our hearts, it's important to remember, not all nuts are created equal. Part 2. The 4 worst nuts for seniors. 1. Peanuts, the hidden inflammation bomb. Sometimes, the most familiar things are the ones we question the least. Take peanuts, a lunchbox staple, a ballpark favorite, a pantry regular in many homes. But for older adults, this beloved legume, yes. Peanuts aren't actually nuts, may carry a few quiet risks we rarely talk about. As we get older, our bodies become less efficient at clearing out certain toxins. That's where peanuts raise concern because they're one of the most common sources of aflatoxins, a type of mold toxin that thrives in warm, damp storage conditions. These toxins don't have a taste or smell, but they've been linked to stress on the liver and organ already working overtime in many aging bodies. But the issue isn't just storage. Peanuts also tend to be high in omega-6 fatty acids, which when not balanced with enough omega-3s can quietly increase inflammation. That inflammation can show up in joints, in blood vessels, or even as brain fog, the kind of slowdown many of us mistakenly attribute to just getting older. Then, there's something many people don't know. Vitamin K in peanuts can interfere with blood thinners like warfarin, for anyone on medication to manage stroke or heart risk. That's not a small matter. And commercial peanut butter. It adds another layer sugar, salt, and hydrogenated oils, which only add more strain to aging hearts and blood pressure. Let me tell you about Doris, 69, from Tennessee. She always thought her peanut butter toast was a healthy breakfast. But when she switched to almond butter just to try something new, her hands felt less stiff in the morning. She told me, "I didn't even know I felt inflamed until I didn't." Peanuts aren't evil, but for older adults, they're worth approaching with care, especially when there are other nuts that give us more help with less hidden cost. 2. Cashews. The blood sugar sneak. Cashews are creamy, comforting, and let's be honest, a little addictive. They blend smoothly into sauces, feel indulgent in trail mix, and often carry a healthy reputation. But here's what's often left out of the picture. Cashews are higher in carbohydrates than most other nuts. In fact, with nearly 9 grams of carbs per ounce and very little fiber to slow things down, cashews can spike blood sugar levels. Something we need to pay attention to, especially after 60. Nearly 1 in 4 older adults has diabetes, and nearly half are considered pre-diabetic. Blood sugar balance matters not just for avoiding disease, but for maintaining energy, mood, and brain clarity. Cashews also contain oxalates, natural compounds that can bind to calcium in the gut. For many older adults already dealing with bone thinning or a history of kidney stones, this can become a quiet problem, less calcium absorbed, and more strain on the kidneys. And here's a lesser-known fact. Cashews contain a chemical relative of urushiol, the same compound found in poison ivy. Don't worry, it's removed through intense processing. But that same process often strips away nutrients. And what's left behind is sometimes roasted in oils and salted heavily, making it even harder on the heart and waistline. Then there's the choking risk. Cashews are smooth and curved, a shape that doesn't always break down easily, especially for those with dentures or swallowing difficulties. One woman I spoke with, Evelyn, 75. Had a scare during a holiday party when a cashew got lodged mid-swallow. I always thought I chewed well, she said. Now I'm just more mindful. So, if you love the richness of cashews, try enjoying them sparingly and maybe reach for walnuts or almonds as a safer everyday option. 3. Macadamias. The calorie trap. Macadamias are often described as buttery, luxurious, and satisfying. And they are. But for many of us over 65, they may offer more than we bargained for, especially in terms of calories and fat. With around 200 calories and 22 grams of fat per ounce, macadamias are one of the most calorie-dense nuts on the shelf. For someone with a slower metabolism, which naturally happens as we age, it's easy to gain weight without meaning to. And weight gain at this stage of life doesn't just affect appearance. It can increase strain on joints, blood pressure, and even breathing during sleep. Now, not all fats are bad, and macadamias do contain healthy monounsaturated fats, but they're also high in saturated fat, which some studies link to raised LDL cholesterol, the kind we try to keep in check. There's also a practical concern: their hardness. Macadamias can be tough to bite through, which isn't ideal for folks with crowns. Bridges, or weakened enamel. I've heard more than one story like George, 71, a retired postal worker from Florida who cracked a crown while biting into one at a holiday gathering. A $5 snack turned into a $400 repair. He laughed, though not happily. And then there's the price tag. Macadamias are expensive, which might tempt us to buy them in bulk when they're on sale, not realizing they go rancid faster than we think. Their high-fat content means they spoil easily, and rancid oils create compounds that can increase inflammation. Macadamias aren't bad, but for many older adults, they're not the best fit for daily snacking. We can still enjoy them mindfully, in moderation, and maybe only on special occasions. 4. Pine nuts, the medication saboteur. There's something delicate and refined about pine nuts. They're used in gourmet dishes, sprinkled over pasta, blended into pesto. But what's not often shared is how these tiny seeds can quietly complicate things, especially for older adults who take medications. Over 60% of seniors take 5 or more prescriptions daily. And pine nuts, they've been found to interact with medications, especially statins, antidepressants, and some blood pressure drugs. These interactions can either diminish the effect of the medication or increase the side effects, neither of which is ideal when we're already working hard to manage our health. There's also something called pine nut syndrome, a rare but documented condition where, after eating pine nuts, some people experience a metallic, bitter taste that lasts for days or even weeks. It doesn't cause pain, but it can alter appetite and enjoyment of food, something deeply important to emotional and nutritional well-being. Patricia, 66, a retired nurse, shared that after eating pesto at a dinner party, she couldn't taste her morning coffee properly for over a week. Everything tasted off. She said, "I didn't realize how much that small shift affected my appetite." Then there's the texture. Pine nuts are small and slippery, which makes them a potential aspiration risk, especially for older adults with dry mouth from medications or reduced swallowing reflexes. Their oils can also oxidize quickly, leading to digestive discomfort or mild inflammation. They may be elegant, but pine nuts come with too many hidden variables for daily use. For older adults, the better choice may be to stick with nuts that are less reactive, more nourishing, and easier on the body. So, if you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, and you care about keeping your body strong, your memory clear, and your energy steady, there's something simple you can do. Starting today, let the food you eat be a quiet act of self-care. Let's gently remember which nuts offer that support and which might be quietly working against us. On the nourishing side, almonds for bones, brain and digestion, walnuts for memory, mood and restful sleep, pistachios for blood pressure, vision, and mindful snacking, Brazil nuts for thyroid support and nerve protection, and on the gentler to limit side, peanuts due to mold risk, inflammation, and medication interactions, cashews because of their effect on blood sugar and digestion, macadamias calorie dense. tough on teeth, and costly to health. Pine nuts for their effect on medications and appetite. If you're 65 or older, this one change, choosing the right nuts, can support your heart, your brain, your movement, your sleep, and perhaps even your joy in daily life. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet. Just start with a small handful of the right kind. You know, our health journey is deeply personal. It's shaped by memories, habits, culture, even childhood foods. But that doesn't mean we have to walk it alone. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever noticed a change in how you feel after adding or cutting out a certain food? Maybe it was a small switch like a different nut, or a simpler breakfast that helped you feel a little more alive in your own body. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What's your go-to snack these days? If this video spoke to you gently, but meaningfully, don't forget to click like and subscribe. It helps this message reach others who may need it. And next week, we're exploring something wonderful: the 5 superfoods seniors overlook and why they matter more than ever. Until then, eat well, sleep gently, and be kind to yourself. You're doing better than you think.